This is Amy, and if you're new, welcome to, and this is Book Talk Tuesday. Yeah, we made it back. We made it to Tuesday. Thank God. Feels like it was a long weekend. I don't know. Maybe, maybe not. But my coffee's almost gone. It's my little doggy Valentine's cup because Valentine's coming and we're getting ready to decorate for Valentine's Day. And coffee today is a Starbucks peppermint mocha K-cup. Sister got me these for um, Christmas. These are good. This is peppermint mocha. I added some Italian sweet cream creamer, and we're off to the races. Hopefully. Yeah. So today, on Book Talk, I was going to go over my top 12 books of 2024 and my biggest top 5 disappointments of 2024. Yeah, and then I had some Goodreads stats I'll throw at you for the reading year of 2024. We are in 2025. It is January 7th. This is just the week's already flying by. One full week of January already. Oof. I don't know. I don't know if I can handle the speed of this new year. Couldn't handle the speed of last year. It's like the speed of light. I don't, yeah, I don't want to. I don't want to think about it. I don't want to think about it. It's been a little chilly here. It's been gotten a little warmer, but it's not been raining for a few days. So, on that note, the weather update. The weather update is I'm not going to look at my phone. We're going to guess. It's going to be like mid low 60s. The sun's out. It's supposed to be really super super duper like it said, I think it said the news stuff I've seen on Facebook and YouTube news that I watch is life-threatening winds, something like that, in Southern California, certain areas. I don't know, but good luck down there. I have friends and family that live there, and I hope they, no pun intended, weather on through. Um, yeah, that looks scary. I don't know. I've never seen it say. I think it said life-threatening wind, life in danger, dangerous winds. Um, yeah, just try to stay inside. Anyway, so today, before we get to my just wrap up of 2024, I have some shows and tells. Oh, that was a weather update. Yeah, nothing new happening here. Um, let's see. Gotta move some stuffs. And so I got a bunch of stuff, but I'm not gonna pull it all out. I might show it over time. I'm looking up here because I'm thinking I did make print out some little pictures, and I didn't have pictures of the doggy girls or Mango a go go up here on my desk. I had bought these little photo frames at the dollar store. So this one is of Mango a go go. He passed away on December 15th. We miss him a bunch, and yeah, this is a little picture when he was outside we took. He was lounging on the cement. And yeah, these are just little 2.5 or something. 2.5 by 3, a photo insert. This is Minnie Dog. This is when it was her first birthday she had with us, and I took her to Petco for her birthday. We were getting her a new halter, and starting not to get the glare. That's about it. And a toy, and I set her in the I brought a blanket, and I set her in the basket, and I wanted to take a picture of her because it's the first time she'd been to Petco. I need to take them again. We usually take them there to get their nails cut, but and I said smile, and, and that's what I got. That's Minnie Sue, and we have Daisy Lou, and this is recent. This is this Christmas. I don't know why I can't turn these right, but in the glare of this Amy, you get your shit together. There you go. Anyway, that's Daisy laying on the bed and that little Christmas tree in the background. That's just a few, oh, this is last month. Anyway, uh-oh. Yeah. Anytime I touch stuff up here, people, it falls apart. But those are just some little frames I got to put some of the kids, the fur kids. Yeah. I really wanted a picture of Mango up there. So anyway, that's the one thing. And then my sister got me she got me many things, but one of the things she got, we did a Grinch theme this year. She got me for Christmas, so I got a bunch of Grinch stuff. But I got like a crock pot with a Grinch. We got a cookie jar that's the Grinch head. She got me golly, well, I did a video of my 12 days of coffee Christmas. So you've seen all the cups she got me. And this was a puzzle. Is how the Grinch stole Christmas puzzle. I thought this was really cool. We haven't played it yet or put it together yet, but yeah, 1,000 pieces. That's no biggie. Usually the average puzzle size I get is like 1,000 pieces, all in pieces. Yeah, we have that, and the doggy girls are in here. So if you hear barking, and then what I had my mom get me, actually I ordered it off of eBay and I wrapped it and I said it was I told her it was from her, and so she was excited because she never knows what books to get me. Nobody does because I have so many. So I got 2 books, 2 Jackie Collins books, and one of them was Hollywood Husbands. These are hardbacks. Yeah, we got these off eBay. My mom got me these for Christmas, and I picked them out and wrapped them. Um, but yeah, it's just a hardback. And I didn't. It says $1.99 from Goodwill. I did not. I got it from eBay. I think I paid. I'm pretty sure I paid more than $1.99. But this is the Hollywood series she wrote, and I read the Hollywood Wives this last February. I think it was. I finished it, and I found it had a series of them, so I wanted to get them, even though the one I read was paperback. I was going to get all paperback, but then I found these were available, and then the next one. So that's the number 2 in the series. It's Hollywood Husbands. The number 3 in the series is Hollywood Kids. Then it goes on to divorces, and then there's a next generation Hollywood Wives. But this is the Hollywood Kids. Um, yeah. So these are, and they looked, you know, I think they're older, but obviously, and they've been used, but they're in really good shape, I think, for, you know, as long as they've been out. But anyway. These are the 2 books I got for Christmas. The Hollywood series by Jackie Collins. So I was really excited about that because I had rented, I got I had borrowed the Hollywood Husbands Wives from the library, and I wasn't gonna I wasn't gonna finish it because Christmas was coming, and I had plans to reading all these Christmas stories, which that was a flop just because Mango got really near the end sick and stuff, and I didn't have time to really read what I planned, so December wasn't very successful. But I had the Hollywood Husbands. I sent it back, and then I decided to get it off, see if I could find it on eBay, and I did. So I went ahead and got the Hollywood Kids one too because that one's next, and I really wanted. So these 2 I really wanted to read next in the series. Um, we'll see when we get to them, but at least I have them now. And I want to read more Jackie Collins in this next year because I really like the Hollywood Wives one. It turned out to be a really fun read with that one. I had no idea. I would have started on Jackie Collins earlier if I would have known, but I didn't. So here we are in 2025 reading Jackie Collins. So a short reading update is I thought I'd be finished with this in like a couple of days, but I've just been so like I have to at night I usually read is when I read, so I've been just tired and not wanting to read. And so it's not that the book is not exciting. I'm loving this story. I'm loving this book. It's Influencer by Adam Caesar, and he wrote The Clown in the Cornfields 1, 2, and 3. Um, and I seen this the end of this came out in October. So before that, I was looking in fall, seeing the new thrillers or horrors that were coming out, and he had a new one coming out. So I got this from the library. I didn't have a long wait or anything. I got it right away, and it's brand new. You can tell. It's 300 and what was it? 54 pages. I'm at page. I was hoping to finish it yesterday, but I didn't. I'm at page 206, chapter 14. And I like how they do these chapters. You can see it has the name of the person underneath the chapter. So this chapter is Crystal, and so this is Crystal talking in this chapter. It's Crystal's experiences going on, and this is a young adult, um, I'd say thriller. It's not, if it's a horror, I haven't found that part yet. I mean, it didn't seem anything horrific so far. Well, the first part opened up with a literal bang. Um, the prologue, I think it didn't say it was prologue, but anyway, it was yeah, it captivated me right away with the opening, the first part of it. And so it's kept going, and it's been a good read. I'm sure a normal person could have got through this in a day or two, but like I said, I read at night mostly, and so when you're tired, it's hard to keep up. But I powered through quite a bit in the last few days to 206. But yeah, so each chapter has a person, and it's mostly Crystal, and the guy's name is Aaron. And what it is, this guy, he is like a king manipulator with a capital M, this guy. So he's on social media, and he has a alternate self, I guess you want to say, is as the speaker. And so he has all these followers and blah blah blah. Um and so yeah, it's Crystal and Aaron, I think, is the only one. No, no, no. Well, at the beginning there was a at the opening it was Larissa, and it's just a, like I said, I think it's a prologue. It didn't even have a chapter yet. And I think that's the only two. But anyway, he's this guy, and he wants people to follow him, or um, follow him or die is like the catchphrase. But yeah, I have high hopes for this being like maybe a 5 star at least. From where I'm at so far reading it, I'm really enjoying it. It's a fast read. I think it keeps the pace up, and there's just keeps bringing things in, things keep happening, and it's a young adult, so there's like it's these high schoolers is basically the character is what the characters are. So anyway, so that's where I'm at reading that. I'm hoping that's where I'm at. I have that much, oh Lord, that much more to go within the next few days. I should have finished this like in a couple of days, but I didn't because I had planned on to be on like the third book by now. Anyway, of my January reads. But then Gabby Reads has her Winterween readathon coming up. I think it's the 10th or the 16th. I really wanted to do that, but I really want to get through my January reads. But some of those books I could use for that, so we'll see. We'll see when that starts, where I'm at. But yeah, so that's it for the shows and tells right now, and the reading update. So now we're on to um the good my reading stats for 2024. So the the Goodreads stats I have, and I'm not um clever enough yet to learn how to put up like spreadsheet pictures for the stats. So I'll put up the books or whatever I'm talking about, but um yeah, I don't know how to do the stat pictures yet, like pie charts, and that's just overwhelming. We're not getting into that. So you can just listen. So 2024, I read 65 books. I think my goal was 52, because I was going to do one a week for there's 52 weeks in a year. But I was over. So, but I think this is off a little bit because on my Goodreads, on the books I've read, it listed one book twice. So I think it's 64 because I had checked, I think the book Jaws, there was two different covers. So anyway, it's 64. So this little stats might be off a little bit just because of that, but it's pretty close. And the number of pages I read was 20,461. Some of those were audios, but I couldn't find it listed as audio on Goodreads, so whatever. It's still um, when you listen to the audio, usually it's word for word of the book. But anyway, the shortest book I read was 64 pages, and that was in December. And I finally read Dr. Seuss's How the Grinch Stole Christmas. Yeah, that was very short. And actually, I listened to the audio when I read that. It took I think it was 16 minutes. That was the shortest book I read. And then the longest book it said I read, but I actually listened to the audio, so I don't know. I mean, I know the book is probably this long, but the audio was I forget how many hours, 16, 18 hours. So this is, what the longest book was 561 pages, and it was The Outsider by Stephen King. And then the average book length was 314 pages. And then the average rating I gave was 4.2. So that was pretty good. And then it said there was one stat that was the most shelved. I guess the one book that I had that other people had on their Goodreads shelf too, which there was 2,922,638 people, I guess, have put this on their shelf. It's Charlotte's Web, and actually I listened to the audio, and I just read that this last fall. I never read it before. I always seen the cartoon on TV growing up, but and the least shelved, so the opposite of that was which I figured, I mean, it made sense to me when I seen it, was The Tale of the Tekongs by Ipeli Ha'afa. I don't know that I'm saying that right, but and that was only 1,355 people. So some of us are interested in reading Pacific Islander authors. Um, the highest rated on Goodreads was Spy Family 2, and my first review of the year, I don't do very many written reviews on there. I want to do that more. So maybe in this next year I'll do that. I usually do the star rating though all the time. But the written part, I usually fail at doing that. But anyway, first one I did was Mother's Day Murder by Tanya Kappas. And that's just a cozy little mystery I read. And so that's the stats from Goodreads I wrote down. So that was interesting. So I might keep doing that for the end of the year. See where I'm at on pages and the books and the rating and stuff. I like that. And I like the biggest in the book I read and the shortest book I read. I think I like that stat. Okay, so now for the meat of our book talk on Book Talk Tuesday, January 7th. We're gathered here today to learn about my top 12 books of 2024. Yeah, I wrote down here I read 61 books, but that has 65, so between 60 and 65 books. So, and these I kind of went through the books that I had made notes on and written down to get. I have some honorable mentions, and then the last couple of books I read that I haven't did a review for yet was Cold Clay by Juno Black and Clown in a Cornfield by Adam Caesar. Clown in a Cornfield 3. So I read the last book in the trilogy of the Clown in a Cornfield, and both those books I gave 5-star. And so I had filled out this top 12 books of 2024 before I finished reading those, and those would have been on here on the top 12. I really liked the Cold Clay. That was the second one in the series, the Shady Hollow series. It's a cozy little mystery series about little forest critters, and I gave that 5 stars. First one I gave 5 stars, and that one's on here. I really enjoyed that story, and just a little mystery series. And Clown in the Cornfield, I was really surprised that this, out of the Clown in the Cornfield books, I really enjoyed that one the most, and I had given that 5 stars also. So those two probably would have been on here, but I read them after, so just mentioning that. So here are the top 12 books of 2024. Let's start with the honorable mentions first. I have D-Day Girls by Sarah Rose. That's an audio, a nonfiction I listened to. I gave it 4 stars. I listened to that in June in commemorating D-Day, June 6th, 1944. Um, and that was really, I really enjoyed that one. I really enjoyed listening to the audio because it was the author that did the audio, and she pronounced, there were some words in foreign words that I probably wouldn't have pronounced correctly, especially the German words. And I liked listening to that so I would know exactly how that's pronounced. But yeah, that was a good one. It just followed these 3 women who were went into the service during World War II. Well, not went into they were hired as a spies and saboteurs to go to France and help the Allies while they were preparing to invade. Before they were going to invade, they needed some things done in France so that they would have a successful invasion to topple the Nazis. And yeah, so that's what that was. And then the next honorable mention is House Across the Lake by Riley Sager. I listened to the audio of this one. It was a thriller. I gave it 4 stars. I really enjoyed this one. I really enjoyed the audio. This is about a lady who is she was an actor, and she's kind of, her star is starting to fade, and so she goes to her family's lake house, and she's taking a timeout. And then there's the people that move in across the lake at another house, and so this I can't think of the lady's name. She starts, Casey maybe, she starts spying on the neighbors across the lake, and then some things start happening, and then she gets herself involved in it. And anyway, it was a good Riley Sager. I really liked that one. Like I said, I gave it 4 stars. And then Final Girls Support Group by Grady Hendrix. I really enjoyed this one. Out of all the stories I read that had the name Final Girl in it, I think Grady Hendrix's one was my favorite. It was a horror, and I listened to the audio, and I gave it 4 stars. And this is a group of ladies who were survivors of like mass killings by mass murders. And so they had formed this support group. And so in this story, things start happening, and some of these ladies start dying. And so the other ladies, one of the girls, the main character, she I didn't know if I was going to get through this pretty good. I didn't know that I was going to give it 4 stars. But she starts out pretty paranoid, I think. Well, and then as the story goes, you find out what happened to her. And so all these stories kind of revolve around like a horror story, um like a movie version of what this happened. So there was ones like, like Scream, the Scream movie, the plot of that. So like one of these characters, their their incident was kind of like the Scream. And then there was an incident like I want to say it was like Friday the 13th or something. There was several different ones, or the Texas Chainsaw Massacre, different horror story movies that we know of. But in this story, it was like their their experience was like these movies came from their experience. But anyway, it was really interesting. And the lady who which I was surprised to learn about at the beginning, and then it just became more interesting to me, because the lady that narrated is actually the lady that played, I forget what her name was, but she was in Friday the 13th. I think she was in the first and second one. Anyway, she was the actress that played in Friday the 13th. So it's like a horror, um, an actor who was in a horror movie is now doing the audio for a horror book, which is a totally, not the same story, but that was fun. Anyway, that was a wild ride. The Final Girl Support Group. I didn't know if I was going to like it at the beginning, but then at the movie near to the end, I realized I was liking it. It was good. And then That was number 3. Number 4 is Mr. Mercedes by Stephen King. I listened to the audio, and that was 4 stars. The Mr. Mercedes trilogy, this is probably the one I like the most, the first one out of the other 2. But it's just about, this one starts out that there is um, a guy who ends up, which is, now that I'm thinking about it, I'm like, wow, that's kind of hits close to home right now, because just in the news in real life in New Orleans, what happened over New Year's Eve, New Year's Day, of the guy running over a bunch of people. Now I think this had to do with a guy who ran over a bunch of people, and it follows that, trying to catch that guy. Wow, I didn't even realize until just now that I read that book, and then that. Anyway, but I thought that was a good story. I like that one out of 3. And then Triptych by Karen Slaughter. That's the first Will Trent. I really enjoy the Will Trent TV show. And tonight on ABC, I'm not sure what time, 8 o'clock, 7 o'clock, the season 3 begins. Really excited about that. Making my Tuesdays happy. And so this is the first of the Will Trent books, and I really enjoyed this. This was a 4-star. It follows like the TV show kind of in a similar path but it kind of this. I noticed reading. I'm on book 3 now. I started it once. The third one is undone. I started it and then I put it down. I had it as a library book, borrow, and I had to take it back, and I haven't picked it up again, but I want to, because now the season 3 is starting on Will Trent. So I want to get through the Karen Slaughter Will Trent series this next year. So hopefully I'll maybe, I don't know, because I'm doing my TBR prompt jar for my monthly picks now. So hopefully I'll throw in a Will Trent in there, will fit in. But yeah, so that's the honorable mentions. And this is going to be a long video. The top 12 books of 2024. I'm going to go with 12. I'm going to start from 12 to 1. So the 12, I'm not going to really, hopefully I won't explain them a lot. Spy Family, that's a manga by Tatsuya Endo. All of these are 5 stars except for one. I gave a 4-star, but and actually I should change that right now, because I know what I would have done. Excuse me. Excuse me. Now we have all 5 stars. It was an easy change. I'll tell you what that is when we get to it. And I put these in order like this, from my top being probably the top book I read, but it was kind of hard because as you get to like the top 5, it's just like they could all be number ones, but you could only have one number one. So Spy Family was number 12, the first one, the manga, graphic novel, whatever you want to call it. That was fun. I really enjoyed that. That was the first time I ever read a manga or a graphic novel, and it was interesting. Just the way it's set up, because you read from the back to the front, and I've never done that, so I thought it was going to be way confusing, but it was pretty easy. And then number 11 was Fresh Brewed Murder by Emmeline Duncan. That was the first one in her I think it's Fresh Brewed series, or Coffee Cozy series. I came across that while I was looking for another one of her books, and I found this one, and I really, really enjoyed it. It's because I love coffee, and so this has a lot to do with coffee. Like, she owns this coffee, her and the character in there, it has her and her partner. They not like partner, just work partner. Um, they own a little coffee cart, and they roast their own beans too. So, and then in the book also there was some recipes, coffee recipes, and just some other like so their coffee cart they have in this place where there's other food carts, like it's like a little food cart area. It's in it's supposed to be in like I think it's Portland, Oregon. I wanted to say Seattle, but I think it's Portland, Oregon. Anyway, little independent coffee thing going on. I really enjoyed it. I really want, that's a series. I don't know how many there's in that series. and it's a 5. So all these are 5 stars. There's no guessing a 4. Um, but yeah, that was a cute little coffee cozy mystery series. I really enjoyed it. And then number 10 was The Fury by Alex Michaelides. This is his newest one, and I wasn't sure how this was going to go. Of course, this is a 5 star. I gave it. I wasn't sure how this was going to go because the first one I read of his was actually, I think, the second book. So I read The Silent Patient first because I found that copy at Goodwill. And so I read that one and I liked it. It was okay. I don't remember what I rated it, 3 or 4, but everybody was all hyped up about it on BookTube, and I wasn't as hyped up about after I read it how other people were hyped up about it. I thought it was okay. It was good, and I found it interesting, but it wasn't a 5 star for me. The first one. And then I read The Maidens, which I think I should have read first because it has little details of some of the characters in the next book, but it didn't give away anything, so you could read them out of order. But the next one of his, The Maidens, I read, I really liked that one. That one I liked a lot better than Silent Patient. So I wasn't sure about how The Fury was going to go. This came out January, I think, this last year, 24. Um, so I had to wait a little bit at the library to get a copy of this to read, and I really, really like this. So this was a 5 star. This, out of all the other two, this was my favorite. So, yeah. And then number 9 was Horror Store by Grady Hendrix. I'm really liking Grady Hendrix. His horror, it's not so well. This is kind of it was a horror, of course, but I just wasn't sure how much horror we were going to go with this. It's supposed to be like kind of a haunted um like copy of IKEA. It's called Orsk is the name of the store, and there's some workers there, and some paranormal things start happening. And I don't usually read ghost. I don't know that I like ghost stories. I don't think I like ghost stories because I don't read very many of them, and I just, of course, I read at night, so I probably would scare myself. But yeah, I really like this one. This was a fun. It was scary at times. Not so scary that I couldn't sleep, but that's just me. I do read a lot of horror and thriller, and that type of mystery type thing is like my favorite things to read. Just like adrenaline pumping stuff, psychological thrillers. Love it. So yeah, so Grady Hendrix Horror Store was number 9. Number 8 is this is the one I just changed. I did have Clown in a Cornfield, the number 1, and that was going to be that was a 4 star. But because I just read Clown in a Cornfield 3, I just added the 3. So this is Clown in a Cornfield 3 is number 8, and it's a 5 star because that was my favorite out of the 3 Clown on the Cornfields, and that was a horror, and it was by Adam Caesar, and it's a young adult horror story, but this follows teenagers, and then there's this maniac thing that happens, and it has to do with the clown, and it's a wild and crazy ride here. And there's a cornfield. So yeah, that was a good one. And then number 7 is Shady Hollow. That was the first one that I just mentioned, the Coldclay one that I read in December. And I really love this is the first one in the Shady Hollow series. It's a little cozy mystery series with forest critters, and the one of the main characters is Fox, and her name is Vera Vixen, and she's a reporter at the Shady Hollow newspaper. And the first one, this one, the Shady Hollow, there was a murder mystery that happened, and she was on the case trying to find out what happened. And it's really puts these characters not like you're thinking of them as characters. The way they're written is you're thinking of them as like people, but oh yeah, she's a fox. It's this whole town it's 2 writers that created the story, and this whole town's mapped out, and they have everything. They have a bookstore, a little diner, coffee shop. They have a police station. They have the newspaper. So it's just this whole world in this Shady Hollow, which makes it really fun. And then number 6 is Bright Young Women by Jessica Knoll. This one came out, I think, in January, and I just read it, I think, in the fall. And 5 stars, of course. And this is a story. has to do with it's the story is, let's see, it's not based on, but it's taken from the story of um, the real life happenings of Ted Bundy, and that he had broken into the sorority house and killed and attempted to murder some of these, killed some of these girls, and you know, but badly injured some others. So it's a take on that, and it talks. This one character is the main character that talks about trying to get justice and finding this killer. And the thing about this story is they don't name the killer; they just call it the defendant or the killer or you know, whatever. But they don't name. It's taking the name away from the, like in real life, uh, Ted Bundy, not giving him um, any kind of due or any kind of fanfare for the killer. It's all about the women, and the title is taken off from, because in real life at the trial when he was Ted Bundy was being sentenced, the judge um, was like, a quote was, "You were a bright young man." So basically, you know what? You were a smart guy. You were a bright young man. You screwed up. You know, you made this screw up, and you could have been blah blah blah. Basically saying, giving him some kind of kudos that he didn't deserve. I don't think he was bright. I don't think you're bright for murdering people. You're not. You're not bright. You're not. Anyway, so this take is on taking that away from the you know, the, in the light of him being, oh, poor Ted, he could have been so much better. You know what? These girls had a life, and they could have been, they they could have did a lot if they would have lived. Um, Anyway, so that's the take on that, and it's a fiction story, so it doesn't go um exactly how the things happened in real life, but it's a take on that, and it's, I think, fairly close to what happened, aside from taking liberties and, making it a fiction story. Um, yeah, so that was a good, really good one. I really enjoyed that one. That was a really good one to read. Um, and then the number 5, I put Charlotte's Web because I never read it before, and I listened to the audio this time, and I really enjoyed it. I love the cartoon as a kid growing up. We would watch it every year, and it's by E.B. White, who wrote Charlotte's Web. And these are all 5 stars, so I'm not even going to mention that anymore. But this one I listened to the audio because I wanted to listen to. I did buy the book at Goodwill. It's a little hardback book, and decided to listen to the audio because it was narrated by Meryl Streep, and it had a cast of characters. Like, just all the characters in the story had someone that was doing that part. So it was really fun. It was just fun to listen to. The story was exciting, just like uh, the cartoon as a kid watching it again, but listening to it this time. So that was number 5. Number 4 is Razorblade Tears by S.A. Cosby. This is my first S.A. Cosby, and I heard good things about this one. I really, really enjoyed the story. It's a thriller, suspense story, and it's pretty graphic. It's about these 2 dads who their sons are married and they are killed, and so they go on down this path of, and both of these fathers have been in prison. And so, and they've been out of prison for a while, and one father has a business and the other father is, just struggling to get by. And so they go down this path of trying to find out who killed their sons. And the sons were married, and one son's black and one son's white, which one father's white and one father's black. So it has different, there's like racial barriers that they're getting through, and just the, life and dealing with, um, who their sons were as people, and they're having regret from how they treated their sons in the past, for their lifestyle that they lived. And yeah, so both these fathers partner up and they go out and try to find who killed their sons, and they want to get revenge. And it was a very good story. And I have two other S.A. Cosby books I bought after I read this. I got them at the I think I got them at the library sale or Goodwill. But anyway, I'm really excited to read those because I really like this S.A. Cosby Razorblade Tears, and I think I really like S.A. Cosby's writing. Um, so yeah. So, and then number three is Just for the Summer by Abby Jimenez. I don't read a lot of romances. This was a romance, and I did have my romance period back in the 90s. I read a lot of like the Harlequin historical romances and just different things, and then the older, I say, cheesier romances from like the 80s, of those Harlequin romance 80s romance stories that are not even close to being as graphic as the romance stories are now. But Just for the Summer was absolutely fantastic. I loved it. I heard all good things about this story on BookTube, and so I decided I was going to read it. I read it. I loved it. Gave it 5 stars. I absolutely love these characters, and I know that from now that Abby Jimenez has written like a um, like a series, or I don't think it's a trilogy. I think it's a series. So there was some other books before this that have somehow, I guess, the characters intertwine in this little romance world. But this is the first one I've read by Abby Jimenez, and I think I'm gonna try some of her other ones that came out before. I don't know if there's one or two before this one. But yeah, these characters, they were just absolutely fantastic. They were realistic. It was a realistic romance. It had ups and downs. It had family trauma things that were happening. Both of these characters, this guy and girl, um, the main characters, they had each family problems that they were growing up with. And it's a romance, but it also makes you, um, you feel bad, you feel sad, you might cry a little, and then you're happy and you're excited and you're just hoping for the best, and then they're going to get together. And then, it just has these ups and downs. It's a roller coaster, really, this Just for the Summer, but it was fantastic. So that made my number three. So, if that made number three, like the top two, I mean, these were all fantastic. But number two was Bury Your Gaze by Chuck Tingle. That's a new one that came out this year too. Um, I want to say it came out in the summer, like June or July. I'm not sure. Uh, but I haven't read a Chuck Tingle before. This was my first one. I heard rave reviews about this book, and I wanted to read it, and it was fantastic. I loved it. It's a horror story. It's not too much horror, but it does have graphic things in it. But yeah, Bury Your Gaze is a 5 star, and that's what I made it number two on my list because it was just, I don't know, it was it was a very interesting take on this story. This guy's a Hollywood writer. He writes hit TV shows and movies, and he's a horror writer. And the um, the movie people want him to kill off like a gay character, and he doesn't want to do it, and so these weird things start happening to him. And anyway, it's just a fantastic journey in this little story. It's some of it's, you're like, I can't believe this is really happening, but then when they do things and you're like, well, this could be kind of realistic. But yeah, it was good. And then my number one, of course, is Holly by Stephen King. I absolutely love this character of Holly Gibney. He started out with Holly in Mr. Mercedes, and she was just like this side character. And I think because he realized that this Holly character was a really good character to have, he had her in so he had her in all the Mr. Mercedes, the trilogy. And then there was a short story he wrote that she was in, and then she had a little bit part in The Outsider that I read in the summer. Um, and so Stephen just kept up with this Holly character, and I loved Holly from the minute she entered the Mr. Mercedes um story, and I was really excited to see that Stephen kept going with this character and giving it, and so finally she got her own book, and it was really fantastic. I really loved it. It was a Stephen King. At times it was graphic on topics of, can't really mention anything about it because I feel like I would give things away. But anyway, she's Holly's there in Holly, and it's just a really exciting interesting story. Um, I would consider it a horror thriller type of thing. But yeah, you're still following the Holly Gibney character. I hope he, continues to give her her own, I don't know, a series. Well, a series would be great. I don't know what you call it, but anyway, yeah, Holly was number one on my 2024 out of all the ones I've read, and gosh, I think she's my favorite character out of all the characters I read in 2024. I think that's why I had to give Holly number one spot. But I love the book and the character I absolutely loved. I mean, I loved a lot of the characters, but this one I read several books with this character in it, and she wasn't like the big main character. She just had little side parts, and she was just like a side character. And for her to finally get her own book was awesome. But anyway, so that is my top 12 books of 2024 and my honorable mentions. And now we'll talk quickly about top 5 biggest disappointments. And I just went over in my head and the notes I had from the books I've read through the year, trying to think of some ones that I thought were the biggest disappointments. And by that I mean I I had higher hopes for these when I started out reading them, or I heard about them and I thought they would be great and I would really enjoy it, and then they just flattened out and they just didn't hit the spot for me on enjoying it like maybe a lot of people on BookTube or other people I heard about reading these that really like them, and I was just like, I did not. I did not. So, or 1 to 5. I just picked 5. Um, and these ones, some of them have 3 stars, but which I thought was okay. But then, out of the whole uh overall, it's like I had a bigger expectations, and these didn't meet my expectations, even though they might have got a 3. I had expectations of really, really liking it, and then I didn't. And some of them got, 2 stars, and I did not like it, and I had high expectations. So that's why they're disappointments, because he disappointed me. So number 5 was The Guest List by Lucy Foley. I know some people out there's a lot of people that really like this. I liked it. It was okay. It was okay. The Guest List was okay. I gave it 3 stars. But the thing about it was the way people talked about it and the way I thought it was going to be like a really great story, it wasn't for me. It wasn't. It was a little, for me, it didn't have enough adrenaline pumping stuff. Yeah, it was on an island, secluded island. There's a storm. I liked um I like Daisy Darker a whole lot better than, and it's a different, Daisy Darker is a different author than this one, but it was kind of similar. On an island, there's a storm, you're secluded, there's a murder. Um, if we're going with that type of plot, I like Daisy Darker a whole lot better. Um, the guest list just it disappointed me because it just, it didn't keep me interested in every turn, and I had hoped that it would. I had heard great things about it, and it didn't do it for me. So it did get 3 stars, but I was hoping for a 5. So number 4 would be Finders Keepers. That's the number 2 in the Mr. Mercedes trilogy. I liked it out of the 3. I like this one the least. I did give it 3 stars. It was okay. I enjoyed the storyline, but it wasn't like the first one kept me more interested. It was more fast paced. I liked the plot a lot better. I wasn't getting bored. And some of this I was getting bored and I didn't care for the story, or the Holly character was in here I absolutely loved. But the other parts of the story seemed to veer away from the original story that started, and it was mostly about a whole new story. And I didn't like that. Um, So yeah, so it disappointed me in that way. Even though I gave it 3, it was a good story. If it was a story by itself, kind of like made it not part of the trilogy and just did a standalone without being connected, you know, that probably would have worked better. Number 3 was Town in a Blueberry Jam by B.B. Hayward. This was an audio I listened. This was supposed to be this was a cozy little mystery I found. It had an audio, and I wanted to for the fall or it's late summer, early fall. Um, I thought this would be a lot more fun from what I read about the plot, and it wasn't. And I listened to the audio, and it just seemed to bore me at times, and it didn't pick up didn't get me more interested in it until the end, until they were trying to find who killed so and so. And I think I gave this 3. It was okay for a cozy small town mystery, but it lost me a lot in the beginning, and it was slow. It was a slow burn, and then it didn't really pick up to where I was really super excited until obviously the end when you're finding out who did it. But yeah. Number 2, number 2 is Malibu Rising by Taylor Jenkins Reid. Heard a lot about this was my I think this was my first. I don't know if I read this one first or I read Carrie Soto is Back. I read Carrie Soto is Back first. I really liked the Carrie Soto is Back. I'm like, okay, I didn't think I was going to like Carrie Soto is Back as much as I did, but I did. So when I was going to read Malibu Rising, I was excited because the plot of it sounded more like a kind of like a Kardashian type family um, dynamic, as far as they're growing up in Malibu. Their father's famous, and then the couple of they all surf and they live in Malibu. And one of the oldest sister is like a model or a surfer or something, and so it sounded really interesting to me because I like Malibu. I like surfing. I like you know that type of thing. But this one just it was a slow burn, and it just got slow, and then the things in it talked about, like, on the plot summary, like, the house burns down, and it was like to me, in my head, it was a bigger mystery about the house catching on fire. So I literally, this is probably a spoiler alert if you haven't. Um, that happened at the end, the house catching on fire, and that I waited the whole book to see I thought it was gonna happen early, and then we're gonna go through the whole story of finding out what was going on, and it had maybe bigger drama to the family than what it had. It had the drama. The trauma was the backstory with the dad being a deadbeat dad and not being around, and the family having to take care of themselves, and their mom ended up being an alcoholic, and then they have a brother that gets dropped off by his mom, and their father is the father, and she's just like, here, you can take care of him now. And he's like this little kid that gets dropped off with this new family. I'm like, okay. And so we have that dynamic, and then the dad ends up coming back around at the end, and then the house catches fire, and it's like, that is not this is not what I thought. And I gave it a 2 because I thought it was horrible. I didn't like it. I think the only part I liked was it was in Malibu. And yeah, uh-huh. That's that. And the number one biggest disappointment of the year, which I would have never expected this because I'm liking this author. I'm liking his stuff, but this one, it got all the hype. People were talking great things about this, and they were expecting great things, and everybody was excited for this to come out. I was excited for this to come out. It came out in, I think, June. I was excited. I thought this was going to be great. I had just read a trilogy by this author, and I really, really enjoyed it. And then I started reading this, and it wasn't going well. This is I Was a Teenage Slasher by Stephen Graham Jones. This is my number one biggest disappointment of the year. I gave it 2 stars. I did not like I Was a Teenage Slasher. I didn't like the characters. The plot of the story seems slow for me. Now, this is for me. Other people other people raved about this. They love it. They like it. I know there's some people out there that didn't like it. They didn't enjoy it, or they DNF'd it, and yeah. But Stephen Graham Jones, I like his stuff. He's a horror writer. I've read the Angel Lake trilogy. I really liked it. It was My Heart is a Chainsaw, Don't Fear the Reaper, and um, Angel of Indian Lake. I think it was the last one, and I really enjoyed those. I thought they were great. I read The Mannequin, something like The Mannequin, the little novella. That was okay. I wasn't really excited about that one, but that had it had a little fun premise. And I don't know if I read anything else. And then this was coming out and I was really excited, and then I got a huge disappointment. Like it just I didn't like the characters. They weren't fun. The main characters, these girl and a boy and their friends, they're going to high school, and this guy, Tilly Driver, I want to say Tolly. It's Tolly Driver. Yeah. The name was interesting, but his life was not. His life was they lived in this town in Texas, and apparently there's nothing to do because I mean, hey, I'm from a small town, and I know when you're in a small town, a lot of times there's nothing to do. I get it. That's not that's not the thing. It's just like they didn't do anything but drive around and go to the gas station and maybe go to this drive-in, and I'm like they didn't have a life. Anyway, they go to this party, some things happen, and then this Tolly ends up killing some um they're in high school, by the way. And he ends up killing these high schools, just like he just woke up and he just ended up doing it, and he can't believe that he did it. And so yeah, that was a spoiler alert, but I don't think it's a spoiler because I think it's like I Was a Teenage Slasher is the name of it. So yeah. So that was my biggest disappointment of 2024. I'm hoping not to have disappointments like that, but when you're reading all kinds of stuff, it's bound to happen. But that was my top 5, and the top one was I Was a Teenage Slasher by Stephen Graham Jones. And Stephen Graham Jones is having, excuse me, March, another new release, and it's Buffalo Hunter Hunter. Excuse me. I am very excited for that one to come out. I have high hopes for Buffalo Hunter Hunter. It's like a vampire historical horror with, I don't know. It sounds weird, it sounds creepy, it sounds fun. Um but yeah. So that's it, folks. That's my top 12 of 2024 and my biggest disappointments of 2024. So that's Book Talk Tuesday. And I hope you have a good rest of your week. And if you cross your fingers and have high hopes, we'll be back here on Thursday for Book Talk Thursday. Not sure what we're going to talk about, but we're going to talk about something. Hopefully, I'll have finished that book, The Influencer, and started on something else. Um, okay. Thanks for watching, and stay classy out there. Stay classy, stay warm. Getting ready here. Take one. My shirt. My sweatshirt. Is it the weekend yet? No. It's Tuesday. Tuesday. Okay, let's see if we can get this set up right. Got my coffee. Got some stuff. Ah, it's Tuesday. I don't know what we're going to do for Tuesday. We're just going to make it up as we go. It's usually what I do. Not a big deal. Got some shows and tells, some Germex. Dogs are in here. Hopefully they won't bark. Hair's sticking out. Just splash it down with Germex. Kind of like Jill, sort of. Not really. Okie dokie. Okie dokie. Oh, I forgot my list. Gotta get my list. Oh, it's January. Wow. 2025. Never thought I'd see 20. I mean, well, yes, I did, but it just seemed like as a kid it was just like a really futuristic, like Star Trek or something. Like it was never gonna happen. It did. We're here and we're off.